everyone. So I'm so happy it's summer. If you're new here, my name's Honor and I do book and music videos, sometimes travel videos when I travel. If you are planning on traveling this summer, gonna be on a long plane ride, gonna spend time at the beach or the pool, and are looking for book recommendations, you've come to the right place. To me, a summer book is something that isn't too heavy. It can be a thriller, but something fast-paced or something feel-good, just not something too dark or dense or very clearly set in the fall or winter. These are all books that I rated 4 or 5 stars, so I really liked these. And they're all books that I would recommend for anything you're doing this summer, so let's get into it. Okay, the first book I'm going to talk about is 28 Summers by Ellen Hilderbrand. She's a pretty popular romance author. I'm not too much of a romance girly myself, but I had to throw a romance in here for the romance girlies. And I actually really like this. I gave it 4 stars. It's definitely one of my favorite romance books I've ever read. It's my first read by that author, so I would like to read more. So apparently it's based on a film called Same Time Next Year, which I actually haven't seen. So it's about this woman named Mallory, who at the beginning of the book we find out is dying, and she's on her deathbed and tells her son to go into a drawer and call a number that's written on a piece of paper in the drawer. So he calls the number, finds out it belongs to Jake McLeod, and wonders what their relationship was like and why he's the person she told him to call. So Jake is actually Mallory's brother's best friend, so that's how they meet. And then it flashes back to summer 1993 and shows their relationship every single summer. And one thing that's really cool in this book is that each chapter is a different year, and at the beginning of the chapters they write down historical or cultural events that happened that year, so it really takes you back into that time. It was a really entertaining book. There were a bunch of different characters and it was third person, so you really got to see the lives of each of these characters. I just really liked it. The writing was way better than I thought it would be. It was very entertaining. There were lots of different plot points in it, which I like. I don't really like when the whole book is just based on the romance, so maybe if you also don't really like romance books, you would like this one. Then The Last Thing You Told Me by Laura Dave. I gave this one 4 stars. I read it in like a day. I loved it. So this man named Owen Michaels has a daughter and a new wife that's his daughter's stepmother, and he leaves his new wife Hannah a note that says protect her and goes missing. His daughter Bailey wants nothing to do with his new wife. She just totally resents her, but they have to come together and try to find Owen together. So they go around the country trying to find clues as to where he could have gone, and it's definitely a page turner because you're just dying to know what happened to him. And it was really cute to see Bailey and Hannah's relationship change throughout the book. There's also a TV show that was really good. Jennifer Garner and what's her name? Angourie Rice were in it. She's Katie in the new Mean Girls. But yeah, it's definitely a fast-paced page turner that has definitely has feel-good moments in it. Then Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. If you want a really short, fast-paced romance, this is great. I finished it in a day. This is an older book. If you don't know who James Baldwin is, he's a really famous writer from I think the 1950s. I totally could be wrong. Wait, let me see when this was published. Yeah, it was published in 1956, and James Baldwin was an expat writer, so he grew up in New York and lived in Paris for a bit. And this book is set in Paris. It had really beautiful, accurate descriptions of Paris, and I could just picture it perfectly since I've been there. So the story is about David, who is an American expat in Paris, and he's super broke. He keeps asking his family for money because he doesn't have a job, and he has this girlfriend named Hella who is traveling in Spain for the summer, so David is alone in Paris. David goes to a cafe and meets a busboy called Giovanni and starts hanging out with him, and they form a relationship. At the beginning of the book, we find out that Giovanni actually passed away, so it's definitely a page turner because you just want to know what happened and how he died. The main character, David, is super frustrating because he's really struggling coming to terms with his sexuality, as you can imagine he would be at the time. He completely resents Giovanni because he thinks that Giovanni turned him gay. And it's called Giovanni's Room because they spend a lot of time in Giovanni's room, and his room actually ends up being really symbolic in the story. But it was an immediate 5 stars for me. It is the most beautiful writing. I highlighted so many things. I'm so obsessed with it. One of my favorite books ever. Then Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. This one is so popular, and I've seen so many other people on the internet talking about it and giving it 5 stars. So it's a story about 2 people, Sadie and Sam. They actually meet in childhood and then reconnect in college in Boston. and they have many similar interests, so they end up starting a video game company together, which actually becomes really successful and they make a lot of money off of it. But the story is so centered around their friendship and just different tragedies that happen to them throughout their lives. The characters were so developed, they felt so real. I literally thought they were real people. The writing was amazing. I'm just obsessed with that author now. I ended up reading another one of her books after. And there's a miscommunication trope, so if you liked that aspect of normal people, I think you would like this book for sure. Okay, then Remarkably Bright Creatures, which I ended up giving 4 stars. It's about this woman named Tova, and I don't think they say her age, but she's supposed to be really old, and she works as a janitor at an aquarium in Washington. Her friends want her to quit because they think she's too old, but she's so dedicated to her job and just needs something to do and really likes it. And her son Eric vanished at 18 years old on a boat in Puget Sound 30 years ago. So at work she befriends this octopus called Marcellus, which is just the cutest storyline. And there's another plot about a man named Cameron who's from California and he's trying to find his father. So throughout the book you're trying to figure out how these 2 plot points are going to intersect at the end. It's just a really feel-good, cute book. I loved her relationship with the octopus. The audiobook, I actually would recommend listening to the audiobook for this one because the actors in the audiobook are really good. Then Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. You guys are probably sick of me talking about this, but I rated it 5 stars. It's set in the 60s. It's about this 14-year-old girl named Mary Jane who's from this conservative household, and she gets a nannying job for this other family in her neighborhood who is very different from her family. So the dad in the family is a psychologist, and he has this famous rock star living with him for the summer because the rock star is battling addiction problems and needs to live with a therapist to hold him accountable. Even though it's told from the point of view of a 14-year-old girl, it's not YA. There's a lot of adult themes explored in this. One particularly funny part is that she learns what sex addiction is. And she has those thoughts that you have when you're really young, and she's like, am I a sex addict? She's a virgin. But she's just learning about all of these things for the first time, and reading her 14-year-old brain was really funny. The author did a really good job with that. So she's exposed to a bunch of things in this family she's not used to. For instance, the family is really into music. They smoke weed in front of her, but she's so enamored with this family. It's a really cute coming of age story. It was also really entertaining because she knew she would get in trouble from her parents if they found out what this family was like. But yeah, I recommend this in like every video because I loved it so much. You guys are also probably sick of me talking about this, Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I don't know anyone that hasn't read this, but if you haven't, it's a memoir from the author Dolly Alderton. I gave it 5 stars. I read it when I was 25 and it just hit me so hard. Everything she was saying in this, I just was going through growing pains at the time and really related to it. So I would recommend this book if you're a woman in your 20s or even 30s, especially if you're single. She talks about dating, her career, female friendships. It really highlights female friendships and how her female friendships are so much more fulfilling than any romantic relationship a man could give her. It also talks about how she's single and her friends are in romantic relationships, settling down with them, and how her friends are prioritizing time with their husbands over their time with her. And I think a lot of people can relate to it at this age. There's also really fun recipes and lists in it. I just think every woman could relate to it in some way, so I always recommend it. Then I'm gonna recommend Killers of a Certain Age, which was so fun and silly. I just loved it so much. I gave it 4 stars, and my Goodreads review of it was the page turner I needed, so silly in the best way. So it's about this group of female assassins who are on vacation, and in their 60s they find out someone that they used to work with is trying to kill them. So they have to come out of retirement to fight back. Because of their age, they make lots of jokes about their age, which I thought was really funny. And it's definitely a page turner because it's a spy book. I love spy books so much, so I read it so quickly and it was just funny and fun. Then I'm gonna recommend The Gunkle. This one is also really cute. I gave it 4 stars. So it's about this gay uncle named Patrick, gay Uncle Patrick, they call him Gup, and his brother's wife passes away and his brother has to go to rehab. So Patrick is stuck taking care of their children. And Patrick is an out-of-work actor who lives in Palm Springs. He's never had kids, he's never taken care of kids, he's really not used to it, it's very new for him, but he obviously loves them because they're family. So it's about him taking care of them for the time that his brother's in rehab, and he basically just learns what it's like to be a guardian and really bonds with these children. If you don't like reading about kids, I wouldn't read this book because they're like the main characters, but it was a really cute feel-good book and it was funny. Okay, my last one, I'm gonna do an honorable mention and say Billy Summers by Stephen King, and it's an honorable mention because I haven't finished it yet. I'm on page 200, so I'm a little under halfway, but it's so good. So it's about this man named Billy Summers, and he's an assassin, but can you tell I like assassin books? And he wants to retire, but he's given this offer that he can't turn down because he's offered to kill someone for $2 million. And he's so confused why he's offered so much money. So the man they want Billy to kill is in prison in California, but for some reason his trial is in a southern state. It doesn't say which one, but it's a state in the south. So they make Billy go live in that state and just await his trial. They don't know how long it's gonna take, which is why they told him that's why they paid him so much money. So he just kind of adjusts to the city, tries to make friends with his neighbors while staying low key and waiting for the assassination to happen. So at page 200, the assassination did happen, and I'm not even halfway through the book, so I'm really excited to see what the rest of the plot is. But I'm gonna do a Stephen King reading vlog, so all of my reactions will be in that, and I'll do a full review when I'm done with it. But that's it. That's all the books that I recommend you read for the summer if you're looking for some. If you like this video, please like it. Also, if you want to see more, I would love if you subscribed. It would mean the world to me. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!